So the faculty recital that I decided to watch was the faculty chamber recital on February 6, 2019. It was very interesting, actually. I really liked it because it was all a mixed chamber, so it wasn't just instrumental, it was also vocal. So the first piece that I listened to, excuse me, I can't pronounce like half of these, I'm so sorry, was the Mein Globus Airs from Cantata number 68, which was done by Johann Sebastian Bach. This piece includes a soprano singer, two violins, a violoncello piccolo, which is very interesting, and then the organ, which I also thought was very interesting because I didn't really think that piece was going to include that. So the piece is an aria, but it's like an unusual aria because Bach described a solo with the piccolo or the violin, cello, piccolo, and a duet with the soprano, which I thought was also very interesting because usually you just think soprano singer, accompaniment. So then following the ending of the soprano player or the singer, it was very different because the texture at the beginning was very staccato, and then it was really legato throughout that aria conclusion part, which ended with the orchestral part, which I was very in love with that just because I am an instrumental person. So I thought that they played beautifully. So the next piece was Timepieces for Clarinet and Piano, Opus number 43 by Robert Mazunski. I don't know how to like think about this piece because I really liked it, but it was very different. It started out really fast, so it's broken up into four different movements. So the first movement was really fast, really like attacking, very angry sounding. The texture was very, very staccato, very short, very ding, 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 ding the whole time. But what was really interesting to me is that the clarinet and the piano were like equal partners, so they both played. They had like the same type of melody, so they were both featured. It wasn't just here's a solo clarinet, here's a solo piano, but really it was just kind of all intertwined together. And then it was very jazzy kind of actually, but it like intertwined with that classical style, so it was nice, and it was like a nice part of the 20th century, which I really enjoyed, because I'm not a huge jazz person, but like it was had some classical parts in it, so I really liked that. The four different movements, however, the first one was really like fast and kind of it sounded a little minor to me, and then the next movement was very quiet, soft, and then it went to um kind of like that minor feeling again, and then it was just really fast. So I really liked it. Each section highlighted specific characteristics of the clarinet, which like was range, technical, ProRes, and then color. The color was completely different throughout each movement, which I really enjoyed. Um, the next one that I listened to was the memorial for piano, soprano, and cello, and that one was actually very, very, very interesting. I really liked this one. So it's from Dido's Lament, which I really liked learning about that, Dido and Aeneas, um, throughout music history. So I really enjoyed listening to this piece. Um, it was just all in all like a collective, like cry, sad kind of thing, but it's like a good cry, sad. So the texture was just very like longing to be, remembered and all of this, and I really liked that. It was very interesting throughout the whole thing. Um, and Claire is a fantastic soprano singer. She is wonderful. So I really enjoyed listening to that soprano part intertwined with the piano and the cello. Then moving on, I listened to the trio for oboe, clarinet, and bassoon by Witold Latalski. This has three different movements in it, and each one solos each different instrument, which clarinet, oboe, bassoon. So the first one was clarinet. They kind of like all went together, but like the clarinet had like a main thing, and then the poco adagio was the oboe. It opened with the oboe. I love Professor Hart's sound. I think it's one of the best oboe sounds I've ever heard. And then it opened with the bassoon, which I really liked because I think that the bassoon just adds something to it. It's very nice. The harmonics were beautiful throughout the whole thing. Very I don't know what the word is. It was just gorgeous. I think that all in all the piece was just beautiful. And I like that it had three different speeds. So it had the allegro moderato at the beginning, so it was pretty fast, and then um it had the adagio for the second movement and it opened with that oboe, and then the allegro went back to the rondo in the third movement. Moving on to the Dual Poems de Ronsard, which is the Opus 26 by Alvar Rasul. Oh, Dr. McMurtry and Professor Shoemate, they're wonderful together. Um, that first movement just opened up so many things. This is for the flute and soprano singer, and those two together just made it absolutely beautiful. The first movement opened up with that flute part, which I play flute, so it's very beautiful. Sorry, my stomach is growling. Um, but it's just very the texture was just very legato, very nice, very um, smooth, and then just it was mostly the flute in the first movement, and then it opened to the soprano, and then the second movement was just all about Professor Shoemate's voice, and it was just beautiful. Overall, just gorgeous. And then the last piece was the trio sonata for two flutes, tambourine, and tuba. This is by P.D.Q. Bach, which I was like, what is this? When I first started listening to it, I was very different. I never would have thought that you could put a tuba with two flutes and a tambourine and make it like really, really cool. Um, but Professor Chin and Dr. McMurtry executed it beautifully. It was just very, very interesting. I really enjoyed the harmony between the two flutes. I thought that it was awesome just because I am that crazy flute player. The texture was just gorgeous in each one, and each one it was all based on mezzo, which really, really, each movement was very different. Um, and I have to laugh in the program notes. It says correctly edited by Professor Peter Shikili. I can't pronounce anything. I'm sorry. Um, I thought that that was just interesting because I feel like it works so well. Um, and I was very surprised. The tuba just added that different texture to it. It was just very, usually you think, oh, two flutes and a tambourine. Okay, it's going to be like super lyrical, really pretty. And then they add the tuba in it. It was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed listening to this recital. Just everything was so intricate, and I really enjoyed being able to have the opportunity to listen to my professors because most of them have taught me. So I really, really appreciate the beautiful music that was created throughout um, this wonderful concert. Thank you.